A U.S. Los Angeles-class submarine is generally tested at 1,500 feet. However, they are supposedly able to withstand a maximum depth of 2,250, 3,000 feet. With all that water pressure above you, it really makes you think about how precious life can be. Just don't leave it to U.S. submariners to share the sentiment with you. Educated and trained to survive months underwater, the accommodations may be less than desirable, but the camaraderie is second to none. Personal space may be non-existent. The food snacks last only a few days into service, but the stories regarding submariner life are top-notch. But before we start, smash the like button and make sure to subscribe if you haven't, and hit that notification bell so that you won't miss any new stories. Submarine life isn't for everyone. I have been in the Navy for 8 years on subs, and it is what you make of it. If you are a hard worker and don't mind lack of sleep and being constantly pushed, then you will be fine. The life on board is more difficult than other areas of the Navy because your life depends on everyone else, and everyone else lives depend on you. In the event of an emergency, there is nowhere to go, and you must be willing to risk your life in order to save the ship and your shipmates. Ship, shipmate, self. Reddit user Bob the Shep. A personal anecdote. We sleep in what are called coffin racks, and for good reason. One night I woke up and was in that just woken up stupor and had no idea where I was, and it was pitch black. I reached out to the left but felt a hard surface, reached up above me and felt another hard surface. For a couple seconds, the only thought I had was, I guess people thought I died and I got buried alive. I was in full guess I'll die mode for a few more seconds before I realized I was just sleeping in my rack in the boat. Reddit user Slowpotamus. Submarines don't just have fans for ventilation, they have big AC units. In addition, for keeping the boat habitable, something many people definitely don't know is how hot it gets in a tropical climate on a sunny day when some of the AC units are down for maintenance and the remaining ones break. I was on duty that day and had to live, sleep on board, and temps were upwards of 130 F. I was literally soaked in my own sweat, and we were slightly salting the pitchers of water we were drinking because we were just losing so much from sweating. Reddit user, our only communication with the outside world is through email. There is no internet access. The ship periodically downloads everything, then distributes it. Upsetting emails are withheld until the boat comes into port so the sailor can continue to function until it is possible to get a flight home. When the boat is on mission where stealth is mandatory, there might not be any communication at all for over a month. From a deleted Reddit user. First up, there's no team on Earth like a submarine crew. One example, admittedly carefully crafted, is Stores Load Day. Worst, most busting day of your life. You're getting ready to go on patrol for 10 weeks. There are 2 hatches barely big around enough for one large grown man to climb down through. Every item that 143-man crew will consume has to go down through those 2 hatches, passed hand to hand from sailor to sailor. All the food, paper towels, toilet paper, cleaning items, you name it. Tons of materials, all packed small enough to fit through those hatches. On that day, every last person on the boat, from the captain on down to the lowest recruit, participated beginning to end. No complaints, just get it done. Reddit user B Carton. A deleted Reddit user recalls the significance of a 5-minute shower. 5-minute showers are a thing. The reason is creating potable water is a slow, somewhat noisy process. The other reason is discharging dirty water is also a noisy event. On a Virginia-class submarine, a 5-minute shower is turn water on to get wet, turn water off, lather up with soap, turn water on, rinse soap off, turn water off, then squeegee all 4 walls. No one was ever in a rush when the water was off or squeegeeing the walls. Books, paper, and electronic, handheld video games. If the submarine allows it, guys would bring external hard drives with terabytes of TV and movies to play on personal laptops. Every evening there was a movie on crew's mess playing. There were usually some card games and cribbage going too. And finally, the time-honored tradition of pranking your shipmates. From a deleted Reddit user, if a submariner brought an external hard drive with terabytes of movies and TV shows, would it be safe to call these individuals real-life pirates? Served on a Los Angeles class. Most people are on an 18-hour day, so you're on watch for 6 hours, means doing your primary job, Off watch for 6 hours means doing all the other shit you have to do and ideally sleeping for 6 hours. In reality, though, you rarely get to sleep for 6 hours. Your off-watch work often runs over. The on-watch dude has to so you have to take over until he gets back, though you'll make him pay for that another time. And the submarine runs drills that involve the whole crew almost every day, so if it happens while you're supposed to be sleeping, you can sleep when you're dead. Reddit user Bazzackward. Served on a Los Angeles class, most people are on an 18-hour day, so you're on watch for 6 hours, means doing your primary job. Off watch for 6 hours means doing all the other shit you have to do and ideally sleeping for 6 hours. In reality, though, you rarely get to sleep for 6 hours. Your off-watch work often runs over. The on-watch dude has to so you have to take over until he gets back, though you'll make him pay for that another time. And the submarine runs drills that involve the whole crew almost every day, so if it happens while you're supposed to be sleeping, you can sleep when you're dead. Reddit user Bazzackward. There are hatches which have hatch doors, one on the hull and one from the airlock created by the two doors to the inside of the ship. These are technically escape hatches, although, as any submariner will tell you, they're for senators, not sailors, referring to the fact that they're there to make people feel more comfortable and satisfy a legal requirement, but if you sink, you're probably just going to die because the majority of the ocean is deeper than feasible to escape from. Reddit user. I was on a carrier during Desert Storm, the USS Midway. At one point, we went 110 days without a port. There was one point where I didn't bother going on deck for at least a month. I just didn't see the point until I noticed that I was falling into a serious depression and was irritable all the time. Reddit user Opus 4VP. As the body cannot produce vitamin D in absence of the sun, a lack of the vitamin can cause fatigue, low mood, and irritability. My dad served on the NR-1 in the 90s super tiny nuclear sub. He said that before they deploy, they go on grocery runs and load up with packs of purple Kool-Aid powder and Doritos and ice cream bars for days. Then they were so bored they'd have competitions to see who could drink enough purple Kool-Aid to turn their green first. I also heard stories of having to dig a cherry out of a very hairy guy's belly button. Clearly, they were busy. Reddit user Leuven Daspero. A buddy of mine when we were in the Navy would get temporarily deployed to subs for 10-20 days at a time. Before each trip, he'd load up on tiny Monster energy shots. He said when you're not permanent crew, you need to make friends fast on the boat, and he'd give those away to people. Reddit user RobMox. Sometimes the quickest way to a man's or woman's heart is through their stomach. Sailors and submariners are no different. 616 class sailor here. When the sanitary tank was full, the auxiliary man on watch would secure the heads to pressurize the sanitary tank to above sea pressure, 75 psi, to empty it out. During that time, any crew members not fully in possession of their senses might occasionally stumble into the head, take a leak or dump, and flush. The flushing valve was a 3-4-inch ball valve that connected the toilet bowl directly to the sanitary tank directly below. This would vent the pressurized air in the tank below into the compartment, covering the newly awakened sailor in his own excrement. Everyone up forward on the ship would hear this. Of course, the poor victim would have to clean the whole mess up. Reddit user Clambo14. All submariners, when reporting on board, save the officers, would have to go through a semi-hazing type initiation called cranking. Crank duty was being a galley slave. You would work in the kitchen and serve meals to everyone on board. You would do dishes and compact trash. While this sounds miserable, and it was, it actually served well as an introduction to the crew. Since you worked a 12-hour shift, you would end up seeing every member of the crew, officer and enlisted, cycle through at some point. Filling their glasses, taking their dishes, and ingratiating yourself served well to establish your face to the people you now depended on. Reddit user. There's a machine that makes fresh water out of seawater that supplies the whole boat. When it breaks, there is a backup, but its capacity is significantly lower than the primary. That means while the primary is out of service, no one can take showers. I was a mechanic who owned the primary, and the only time I was treated like royalty on a submarine was while I was fixing it. Reddit user Bazzackward. As expected, the personal decision to volunteer for service in an underwater tube attracts some interesting individuals. According to a deleted Reddit user, the experience is not all bad. Submarines attract a strange bunch, at least the ones that finish the tour. Emotionally stable enough to make it, insane enough to volunteer in the first place. Imagine a prison where people actually liked each other. I met some of the best guys I will ever meet in my life aboard the boat. Reddit user Curity 1357 clarified a common misconception about submarine atmospheres. Rather than simply reducing oxygen levels, submarines lower the percentage of oxygen while increasing pressure. At sea level, the air is about 14.6 psi at 20.8% oxygen. Submarines can raise the total pressure slightly while reducing oxygen percentage, maintaining the same amount of breathable oxygen but reducing fire risk. This balance allows for safe respiration even at reduced oxygen levels by adjusting pressure. Reddit user Frogel offered a detailed look into a typical day on board. The routine followed a strict watch rotation, waking at 10:30 a.m., standing watch for 6 hours, eating meals, cleaning, handling tasks, then sleeping by 11 p.m. The cycle resumed at 4:30 a.m. for breakfast and another watch. Life followed a tightly structured rhythm, with moments of downtime interspersed with watch duties and cleaning shifts. Frogel explained submarine classifications. The U.S. Navy operates 3 types: fast attack (SSN), ballistic missile (SSBN), and guided missile (SSGN). The SSBN and SSGN classes are significantly larger and may have amenities like lounges or gyms, depending on captain approval. Fast attack subs, however, are too compact for such luxuries. During silent missions, even physical activity is restricted to maintain stealth. Reddit user MWhatWeOwn added that life underwater isn't as claustrophobic as many expect. Movement is minimal, and the submarine remains still and quiet. Waves are absent, so the sensation of travel is muted. Food quality starts out decent but deteriorates over time, often reduced to old canned goods. Despite the military setting, the atmosphere on board was relatively informed, although reminders were occasionally needed not to address officers by their first names. One Redditor who worked on Virginia-class submarines noted the surprising choice of interior paint, a shade called sea foam green, jokingly referred to as key lime pie green. Studies determined it was the most psychologically stable color for long-term confinement. The idea of a more intense hue, like bright orange, sparked humorous speculation about the mental effects. Submerged life fostered unusual economies. Tobacco products became valuable commodities, leading one crew member to reassemble used cigarette butts for resale. Gambling was another major activity, with some sailors finishing tours heavily in debt. In rare cases, the debt situation nearly led to disappearances upon docking. Healthcare on board was minimal. A single enlisted corpsman, with only Navy-provided emergency medical training, handled all medical issues. Illnesses were often treated with basic over-the-counter remedies, and serious conditions were sometimes ignored to preserve mission readiness. Another Redditor shared his father's experience on British nuclear subs in the 70s and 80s. As a junior rating, he slept beside the reactor and consistently tested above safe radiation limits. Rather than transferring him, the Navy simply raised the acceptable limit each year.